Good evening. I'd like to call this Clear Creek School District Board of Education business meeting to order. It is January 22nd, 2026, and it is 5:32 p.m.
Pierce,
Yes.
King,
Here.
Lynch,
Here.
McHugh,
Here.
Norton.
Here. Look for a motion to approve the agenda. I think we've got an amendment.
I would like to approve with one amendment, and that is removing the access control policy E1. We are still awaiting our MOU.
I'll look for a second.
I'll second.
Pierce,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
Norton.
Yes. So I know we've got a lot of public comment tonight. Just because there is a lot, if there are any things that we want to hear what you want to say, but if there are pieces that are kind of duplicative, say, I want to reiterate what they said and then share with us any additional pieces that you'd like to share. Again, just for time commitment, we just want to make sure that we hear what everyone wants to share this evening. Do we have?
So first we have Kristen Best.
My name is Kristen Betts. I am a first grade teacher at King Murphy, and I've been an educator here in Clear Creek for about 13 years. I'm also a member of our Clear Creek Educator Association. I'm speaking tonight to respectfully ask the board to reconsider the decision not to recognize our Educator Association. Learning that educators like myself will no longer be recognized as bargaining members feels like telling my students, I'm going to teach you something, but only one way, and you don't get to ask questions or share your thinking. That's how it feels. That's not the model we want for our classrooms, and it's not the message we want to send about how our district values educator voice. Union representation is not about opposition, it's about partnership. Educators are asking for a structured way to participate in conversations that impact our schools. When teachers feel heard and supported, students benefit. We understand that bargaining can be complex and involve legal costs. However, ending recognition may offer only short-term savings while significantly limiting educator input. Rather than silencing that voice, we urge the district to explore ways to improve the process. Many parents and community members also support teacher representation. Families know that strong schools depend on stable, supported educators. I urge the board to reflect on the will of its educators and community. Re-recognizing the association will demonstrate a commitment to collaboration and a positive school culture. Thank you.
Alicia Needham.
Hi. My name is Alicia Needham, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'd like to speak to you on behalf of your decision to no longer recognize the union. I strongly oppose this on the basis of choice. I'd like to thank the union members for collaborating to help our district get reasonable increases for salary for teachers and paraprofessionals. I apologize, my voice is gone, I'm not feeling great. I'd like to thank the union and its members for helping to improve our student and school culture by decreasing the staggering attrition that we had several years ago at a level of 69% before the union collaborated with the district. I'd like to thank the union and its members for providing a safe and trusting place where we can collaborate and speak. I'd also like to support the union and its members for helping to rally the community during the time when we tried to get the bill passed. I believe it was 2019. Union members wrote letters, knocked on doors, and advocated for our school. So I'd really like to thank the union for doing that. That was also an idea that union members had. I'd also like to thank union members and the supporting people for just the ability to collaborate and partner sometimes when the board would not. So I just want to say thank you. And to the board, I've stood before you on several occasions. You know my name, you know what grade level I teach, you know what type of educator I am. And no one has reached out to me to ask me any questions about what I've spoke about. I have not received answers to the things that I have posed during these meetings. And I'm standing here tonight again, pleading for you to listen to your staff members, to your community members. And it is very frustrating that it goes unheard. Thank you.
Holly Fisher?
Good evening. My name is Polly Fisher. I teach kindergarten at King Murphy, and I've been an educator in Clear Creek for 28 years. And I do appreciate this opportunity to address the board. I am here to also speak about union representation. A clear majority of district employees have said that they want union representation, and that request seems to be denied. At its core, this is about choice, and we are asking for the option to have representation. We provided a petition in the fall that had approximately 75% of our classified and certified staff in support of union representation. These employees are from across roles and buildings in the district who are committed to the district and to our students. The decision not to recognize the association has created tension among staff and has led to mistrust and fear. Those are conditions that do not support strong schools or stable learning environments. This is not about conflict, it's about collaboration and respect. I ask the board to reconsider this decision to allow employees to have choice and to have the representation that they work so hard to get. And I was part of the initial push to unionize. Alicia has mentioned some of the reasons why we felt it was really important. We have made really good decisions or we have worked with the district to collaborate to make really positive changes around teacher retention and better stable environments for students. And I really urge the board to reconsider the decision. Thank you.
Alec Hub?
My name is Alec Hubb. I'm a Clear Creek High School math teacher, the parent of 3 young CCSD students, and an active community member that volunteers my time with the Rec Center youth programs. I'm also an association member. Many of us here tonight agree there is a strained relationship between the school district board and its employee association. The association and its recognition by the BOE has importance beyond the financial implications. A healthy and respectful relationship between these two groups of adults is essential to meet our shared goals for the education of our youth. We should be modeling that which we want our children and our students to demonstrate: respect, critical thinking, and integrity, to name a few characteristics. At the heart of this strained relationship is Resolution 2019 and Resolution 2025-11. Understanding that you have access to the resolutions in their entirety, I'll draw attention to one sentence in 2019's. Employee organizations' status as recognized employee organizations shall continue unless and until withdrawn pursuant to this procedure. I ask you this: did the adoption of Resolution 2025-11 respect this procedure? Did you act with integrity in adopting Resolution 2025? Did you think critically about the BOE's failure to uphold Resolution 2019? The burden of repairing a relationship requires the effort of both parties. My colleagues and I are here tonight to demonstrate our commitment to moving forward. I believe you know what is right and what must be done. The real question is, are you prepared to put others before your personal emotions and begin repairing?
Catherine Menke.
Good evening, you both math teachers, one after the other. I am the other math teacher at the high school. And I want to address to you about the association and why it's important, not just about the money. I've taught all over the country. My husband was Air Force. I came here so excited to teach here. And I have never had a single disciplinary or question about anything I've taught about in all my 20 years in education. I was handed a disciplinary action from the administration here without ever being told what I was being disciplined for. Nobody approached me about it. Nobody talked to me about it. And the only reason that that disciplinary action, which was all falsehoods and lies, was taken away was because I had the support of the union behind me. You would not have 2 math teachers here today still teaching if it wasn't for the support of the union. Because they completely disregarded the 5th and 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And without the support of our union, I wouldn't know all the different codes that are in our regulations here that they disregarded. And that disciplinary action that I could fight because it was not true. So I ask you to reconsider your recognition of the association, not just for our finances, not just for recognition of what we earn as teachers through all our decrees and our work, but because we need that support when there are things that have been done incorrectly, that protect us as teachers and protect us as employees of the district. Thank you.
Rachel Richardson.
Hi, good evening. I'm Rachel Richardson. I teach 3rd grade at King Murphy Elementary. Kind of at this point, January, all these months have gone by where we've been pleading to the board, wanting to honor the agreement the board made back in 2019 with their staff who organized. I'm kind of starting to wonder if this board hasn't read 2019. The resolution which the district agreed to during negotiations with an employee group that got started. It's been here thanks to them. I'd like to read it to you because I'm feeling like you haven't read it. There is an agreement and this is it. If at any time the number of dues-paying members of a recognized employee organization is less than 30% of the eligible members of the bargaining unit, the board may direct an election to be held at district cost to determine whether to decertify the employee organization. The ballot for such elections shall contain choices for the employee organization and no organization. The choice receiving the majority, 50% plus 1 of votes cast, votes cast shall prevail. We have an agreement. Why aren't you honoring it? In case you haven't read it, there's a copy for y'all and a copy for you guys. Thank you.
Caitlin Davidson.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Davidson. I'm Clear Creek High School's and Middle School's art teacher, and I was hired this year. I didn't prepare anything to say specific, but I would like to note that, for one, the union has done things for me and supported me in such a way that I can't even describe how grateful I am to them and how important it is to me to know that somebody's in my corner to support me as an educator. And I'm here only because I love teaching and I love kids. I also want to speak to the fact that I was bringing my children here before I even got the job, before I even was teaching here. My children were switching districts. And I was totally in love with what I learned about the school when I toured it, and the programs and the career readiness and everything that was there for my kids. And it wouldn't be there for my kids if it wasn't for the teachers. And if the teachers lose the ability from the union to be able to have that support in negotiations with the school board, I'm afraid that we're gonna lose some of those fantastic teachers that brought me and my children here in the first place. But I would strongly ask you guys to please reconsider negotiating with the union. That's all. Thank you.
So we also received 3 public comments via email. Say, one from Jennifer Pritchard. She also asks, as an employee, that we would please reconsider recognizing CCCEA. So you all have that one to read. Sandy Schusler, who's a parent and a former board member, provided some concerns as well. And Casey Kraisner, who is also an educator at King Murphy. So I will let you guys read those just for time's sake, but they also ask us to really take a look at what our reasons were, and thank you very much. We'll move on to Board of Education updates.
Am I starting or who's starting?
You can start.
I don't know what the order
I don't remember what the order is.
I think alphabetically it goes. They used to
Okay,
say
alphabetical.
We'll start
I
with
think
you.
it is.
So I attended the BOCES meeting back in December with Jessica and Wes. We discussed that there's more students moving into our district that needed the BOCES support. So we did discuss the future of that program and ASD classroom, which Wes wants to touch on later. And also Terry Jones' possible retirement as well. It's kind of big part of my update, and then I'm just looking forward to the breakfast with Wes at King Murphy on February 12th. So,
Thank you.
I attended the January DAC meeting where Wes provided UIP details and answered questions. In order to reduce survey fatigue, the Panorama survey is going to serve as the winter survey with maybe like 5 extra questions that DAC agrees upon at their next meeting, I believe. It's going to help streamline the review and processing the data that we get. And then they're planning to have the survey results and their presentation for our May study session. And then they're hoping that given that earlier date before we kind of take a break in the summer, that that'll give us some time to review their data and then maybe provide some feedback or action items before summer. I attended the January Enrollment Task Force Committee meeting, which we heard about at our study session. And then Wes, Jessica, and I attended lunch with a student advisory committee. We had 6 students, which was really fun to just have an hour with them and have an open conversation. And we did address the potential change to the policy about student absences and tardiness, and they shared their thoughts and concerns. And then they also just told us some concerns that they have and that also the entire student body have, and we can talk about those as they come on. That's it.
Awesome.
Ms. Lynch?
I don't have any updates right now. I'm still working on balancing scheduling for getting involved with Resilience 1220 and G-Rock.
It takes time to get into the groove. You'll get in there. And then you'll be like, ah. For my update, I would have had to go through the calendar for the last 6 weeks. So I just counted the number of meetings that I had with various people. So there were 9 of them. I spent an entire weekend plus working through the finance policies based on Jen's research on things. And Yeah, that was a deep dive. I wasn't expecting to do that deep of a dive, but I'm okay with that. It worked out okay. The meetings that I went to all involved Lookout Mountain Water District or the OC, other building factors, safety, including the life spot. So just in a nutshell.
Thank you. Yeah, when we have 2 months of
Yeah,
updates,
it's like,
we just,
bleh.
yeah. So yeah, meetings with you, meetings with you, meetings with you. I talk with you. Like, no.
She'll get into the-
No, so, you know, I'm grateful to have the two of you joining us, so thank you, and have really enjoyed the conversations and, you know, happened to get you on board. That and working with students have really been the highlight for me in the last month. With the Lookout Mountain Water District, the highlight there is just that we have support from Hickenlooper, Bennett, Nagoose, and Pedersen's offices. So that feels huge. But what you haven't shared is CASB. So we had the opportunity to go down to the Broadmoor and really just get filled with some training on how to board better and to really get to know each other as well. So thank you for making that trip with me. And the last piece is, as a board, I will be in every building the first week of February from 11 to 5 on, well, we'll say 4, depending on if there are people that want to stay after school, but I'm just gonna office in each building. So on Monday the 2nd, I'll be in Georgetown. On Tuesday the 3rd, I'll be at Carlson. On Wednesday the 4th, I'll be at King Murphy. And on Thursday the 5th, I'll be at Clear Creek Middle and High School. But I also have heard from several board members that they will be popping in to spend a little bit of time with me, so I won't be alone. But I want to open that up to all stakeholders. So whether you're a parent, a guardian, an educator, just somebody in the community that wants to have a conversation to find out what we're doing, really want communication to be at the forefront of what we're doing better, because we recognize we can do better. Then I think that's it for me. Yeah. Yes.
Can I make a comment about CASB?
Please.
Well,
no, because you missed your chance.
I know, right? You know, as soon as I tell people, hey, we went down to the Broadmoor, their eyes drop and they get big and they're like, what the hell are you doing as a school board going to the Broadmoor? So I just want to touch base on that, because literally what happens is there's a lottery between all of the school boards. We pay the same dollar amount whether we stay at the Red Lion Inn or we stay at the Broadmoor. We happen to win the lottery, so we stayed at the Broadmoor. So I just want you all to know that we're not living at large and paying a crap ton of school money to do the things that we did together as a group to learn about school district things. So I just felt that that was important to say. Thank you.
Are they paying for your food and your parking and all the other things that are highly expensive there?
It's catered within the CASB functionality, so our membership covers all of that. Yeah. I'm happy to answer any of those questions. Because I don't go every year because of the expense. I think it's important to feel that out.
All right, Wes.
Well, it's my privilege to recognize some outstanding folks among us today. So I'd like to recognize Emily Leek, school nurse. She wouldn't mind maybe come up here. So Emily Leek, a school nurse. Awesome. Independently ensures that every student in the Mountain Backpack Program receives essential food bags, Safeway gift cards despite an unexpected school closure. Her initiative includes personal, coordinating pickups, and offering home delivery, exemplifies the highest standard of kindness, service, and care for her school community. And so in recognition of the extraordinary compassion and dedication demonstrated when she independently ensured that every student in the Mountain Backpack Program received essential food bags, we want to give this recognition tonight for your work. So
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. I appreciate that. I am a reflection of all of the teachers and staff in this district, so thank you for having me.
And I want to recognize some outstanding folks among us who have served our community for so many years and dedicated their life to the kids they serve. And so first I'll start with Jill Stansberry for 20 years of service. Actually, you know what, we hold the pictures, we'll have them all stand together. That's kind of more important, so, yeah. Next I have Margie Marlin, preschool teacher. Stop, going the wrong direction. Chris Kamas from Komatsu, paraprofessional, 22 years. Congratulations, Josie Benoit. Michelle McNeil, 23 years. Dan Hunt, custodian, 25 years. Margie Marlin, 28 years as preschool teacher. And Polly Fisher, 28 years as a kindergarten teacher. Please.
It's like.
Congratulations, thank you. Okay. So next is my next recognition. I got the look. So in recognition of our school boards from across Colorado, this month is Board of Education Appreciation Month. And so for the dedication, leadership, and public education, and continue to serve the children of this community, thank you for your extraordinary service to helping Colorado children thrive. So thank you very much. We have a little gift for you that Lori the Amazing has put together for us. So first, I have a certificate for Sydney. Come on up. Congratulations. Thank you for all you do and what we're doing.
Yeah, we're started.
And Nicole. Congratulations. Thank you. And thank you for the years you're going through serving us. Sure. Next, I have Marcy King. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have Carrie Ann, come on up here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think that one's yours.
Is it?
And our board president, Jessica North.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Saying, if I don't ever have to hire another superintendent, it's really a pleasure.
Thank you.
Do you have other updates?
I do have updates, yes.
Another
So
update.
I hear and pull my reports. I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna connect my board update with legislative update at the same
Sure,
time.
that makes sense.
It seems this last week, if you guys been watching the news, there's a lot going on legislatively that is concerning, but before I do that, I'm gonna talk about some things. So last week, I had the privilege of meeting with our school principals. We do a leadership and learning meeting once a month, and we had a great opportunity to talk about strategies to help make sure that we're providing differentiation support for our students in the classrooms. We talked about what that looks like in practice. And looking forward to going around and seeing some of the work the principals doing, helping support teachers, what they do during PLC with lesson planning and so forth. So really having those conversations. And based off input from one of the teachers here, I met with teachers on Tuesday evening. We have a monthly meeting, and one of the things that came up was how do we support our use of data to drive our work in the schools. And so I'm doing a principal camp this coming week, the week after, and we're going to talk about data. So they prepare for a presentation for the next Friday Professional Development Day. How do you help teachers digest the data, how they connect with it, how they use it to support their lesson planning and work what they do with students, and how they help support differentiation. So I'm looking forward to that conversation with the principals coming up. So first I'm gonna do a celebration. I wanna thank all of you here in the audience and other folks that work in our schools every day. We achieved a 93.5% graduation rate for the last school year. We know that work starts at preschool, works its way all the way through elementary school, middle school, into the high school. So everyone here and at home who are watching or who work in our schools had a part in these students walking across the stage and graduating. 93.5% is higher than the state average, and we're one of the few group of school districts across the state of Colorado recognized for outstanding graduation rates. So congratulations to our school district, our staff, our leaders who are part of that work. So thank you very much. The next thing is our legislative update. Right now, the biggest one is the specific ownership tax. It is an effort to close the gap. I think we're about $300 million shortfall right now in our state budget. And the proposal coming from the governor's office is to look at using SOT as a way to cut that gap. In doing so, that will have a significant impact on our school districts. For example, in our district, that would hit our budget by $369,884 negatively. And so these are very concerning. We have reached out, Jennifer reached out to one of our representatives yesterday, and they responded very quickly. So thank you for doing that as the Director of Finance. And they were surprised, as we are, to receive that information from the governor's office. And the representative said that they are going to make sure they fight that. And so we're very, very happy that our representatives are going to help us address this concern that will have significant impact on our school district. The other one is the recent article came out in the Colorado Sun. Yes, I think this week we had the Joint Budget Committee had a presentation to representatives and leaders across the state. And they talked about how the deficit we're in the state right now has really been led by legislators making some choices back about 4 years ago that are significantly impacting our ability to balance our budget and support our K-12 public schools. And so there's some concerns there. Hopefully they will navigate that process, but it is concerning how we've ended up in the situation we are now because of decisions that were made about 4 years ago. And so that's really right now my legislative update. There are so many things coming out daily right now. I will tell you. It hasn't
even started yet.
Right. I would love to, as I mentioned last time, the governor's decision to support the voucher program is very concerning right now. And so how that will impact our public schools is an issue that we need to look at going forward.
Wes, is there any one thing that you can speak to that happened 4 years ago in the legislature that?
Well, I think the thing is that, it's also impacted our school districts too, is there was funding for COVID that came out in the ESSER funds. And so because of the surplus of funds that came through the federal government, there were initiatives to support higher education that were, these are issues that legislators have been trying to address for many years. And they said, well, now we have this money, let's address it. So higher education was an issue. Universal preschool is an issue. These are things that have been there we want to address. But now we're paying for those. They weren't ongoing funds. They were one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are examples of the situation.
Thank you.
Jen? Yes. I know, you were working your way through emails. We'll send you on your weekend here quickly, I hope. Thanks for giving us a quarterly update.
Oh, sure.
Give me 1 second, I'll get your
I love public speaking so much, so
Just don't have that.
The folks who go into accounting and
yeah, I'm just not the stereotypical where I'm very extroverted and I love talking, so you think this would be something I'd enjoy, but I don't.
we'll give you lots of practice.
Okay, so this is gonna be a little hard to see. Trying to put it all on one page in Adobe was challenging because I did add quite a few extra notes.
Your flow chart was pretty good.
It was a simple one pager, I believe,
I mean,
just
it-
asked before maybe.
You can, yeah, you can digest
Yes.
that in an overview.
Okay, sure.
Good.
Yeah. So the description here, I just kind of broke down what rolls up into CDE chart of accounts coding. That's how this report is ran, just by the general program and object codes. And so please look through each little line item description at your leisure to see where everything falls, so that way when you're reading these reports, you can kind of see what falls into what category. I'll just go over the footnotes.
Yeah, give us the highlights.
Okay, property taxes, which one falls under the local revenue. Only 9% received by Q2. Looking at prior years, that's normal trending with 90% of the revenue expected to be received in Q3 and 4. Of the revenue you see in here rolled into that is $113,000 of Youth Connection grant revenue. That revenue, once upon a time, was received all up front, and for it to roll year after year and not have to be closed out the way other grant revenue is, it was under general fund. So that revenue is included in that 9%. The debt principal loan, which is gonna be the line 25 debt principal interest payments. It looks like we're 200% on the quarter, or 200% spent on the quarter. And that's just because we don't make a payment in Q1 and then it falls in Q2 and Q4. So we're at exactly the 50% mark and trying to hit budget once we make the second payment for that. State revenue is trending lower than year to date on previous years because one, the mill levy reduced the state fund, and then the state fund percentage just reduced since it's coming more from local revenue. And then we moved to the 9-month distribution instead of 12-month. So that's just what's making it look a little skewed at Q2, but by the Q3 and Q4, we're gonna be trending with budget. Expenditures by program year to date, trending where we would expect to be at Q2, which is traditionally around 50%, and those that are trending less than 50% are likely summer salaries. So that makes our Q4 expenses a little higher because then we have to include July and August. And then costs that'll hit once or twice in the year, and then they normally hit later in the year. So that's expected as well. The fund balance amounts on here in the Q1 presentation were estimates. They've been revised to be actual reflections of the FY25 audit. The year-to-date budget is flat or underspent with the exception of central services for IT transition, legal, and some billing discrepancies. One fund, well, this is the only fund to complete transfers out. So
when you look at the, income loss line, in the description, this one's gonna have total revenue minus expenditures minus, transfer out. And all the other accounts, or funds, you're gonna see that transfer outs are added to the income. But this is the fund that we transfer out from, so. That formula is gonna look a little different just on the other funds. Food service, quarter year-to-date revenue, local revenue is high for Q2 versus budget. Because the budget was set on FY 25's revenue. And this year we're doing, the ordering for, GCS. And then we get reimbursed this revenue. So it's gonna make our revenue look a little higher, but it's passed through to them in a different way. So it's gonna come out in the expenditure line. So that's gonna inflate the supplies line about 6K. So when that one looks over, it's just because we're doing purchasing for them this year and then just billing them through the bonds. We don't really receive state and federal revenue in Q1, which is why the year-to-date revenue is only 30% to budget, and the quarter-to-date is higher than budget because we started receiving more in Q2. Salary and benefits are low quarter-to-date. Due to an open position, and then low on the year-to-date because we'll have July and August paid in Q4. Professional service budget was set too low due to last year's software renewal was stuck in prepaids and it didn't get moved out of prepaids into the correct line. So when we were setting that budget, we didn't see that charge hidden, so they look highly over budget, but that was just due to a technical issue and having that stuck up in prepaids and not being moved into the right expense line. So that is noted for budgeting season this year to make sure we increase that budget to allow for that annual renewal. Property service was high on year-to-date just due to maintenance performed in Q1. I'm not concerned because I don't think we're gonna be spending any more on food service maintenance this year. And then supplies slightly over due to the GCS food purchases, but it's balanced by the local revenue increase. It will be likely to be high in Q3 due to the food loss during the power outage, so. Moving on to grants, local revenue, $0. It's been $0 for several years, so I think reconsidering not having a budget for that in 27 and allocating it, or not having that included in our budgets. State and local revenue, not likely to trend, but 1/4 budget due to some grants that were received upfront in full and others are reimbursable. In the past, majority of grants were reimbursable through the request for funds process, and now they're starting to heavily load them all up front, and you're starting to receive them in Q1 or Q2. So it's just gonna make it look higher to budget on the year-to-date, but that's gonna match the expenditures at the end of the year. Salary and benefits are low due to unfilled that were budgeted for, so grant revisions to the applications will have to take place for those that don't allow carryovers, so we can reallocate those funds to other needs, since those positions aren't gonna get filled likely. Supplies over budget due to school health professional grant. A budget revision will just need to take place of 18K, and school health professional as a whole is trending fine. It just needs to reduce professional services and other and add it into supplies line. Professional services underspent 50% due to CEI. The bulk of that budget is invoices twice a year. So Q3 will probably represent the same, and then by Q4, we'll receive that invoice. The funds are encumbered though through purchase orders, so. Other is the indirect percentage of grants to cover admin cost. It looks low because these are normally expensed through a journal entry that's done in Q4. That allows us, if we have to redo budget allocations, that can always be one of those we can play with by the penny to get everything to align. So we normally do those in Q4, and then the other budget is the contingency that we set for when we receive additional grants throughout the year. REDACT is over budget year to date due to a revision in the original allocation. So once the year is starting to wrap up, a little bit of that will have to be journal entry off to the general fund. And that way all grants will be spent 100% to the revenue received by the end of the year. Yeah, you can see that one, like the beginning audited fund balance just is 0 across the board, because what you receive, you have to spend, or if they allow carry forward, you book it that way. Bond redemption funds, we do the interest and principal payments in December, and the second one will be paid out in June. Budget amount is exact to the amortization schedule, so no concerns on this. Paying agent fees will be paid in Q3. It's likely that we're gonna be underspent to budget there, so that's good. Principal and interest payments, I guess I'm repeating myself. Local revenue is very minimal in Q1 and Q2. We'll see a heavy increase in Q3 and Q4. These funds come through with the property tax local revenue. And then due to the timing of that, timing of the interest principal payments, it appears that we're operating at a loss, but by the time those funds start, or the revenue starts flowing through in the next quarters pretty heavily, it's not gonna appear that way. Fund balance carries enough to get us through until revenue comes in, and then once the revenue is received before our June payment, that'll build the fund balance up for the next December payment when the revenue starts to slow back down. We have enough to make that payment. Bond fund revenue is going to decline each quarter as the funds are spent down. Normal to be higher on year to date to budget in Q2. One line in here is the Clear Creek Schools Foundation grant that should be spent by the end of the year. Budget is higher than expected due to invoices that were paid late in FY25 after the budget was already adopted. There's actually only around $10K remaining in that. Budget was set at King Murphy and the high school roof repair. The budget currently sitting at the contingency will be reallocated to align with the expenses, and the remainder will be spent as the projects arise. Funds remaining, fund will remain operating at a loss as interest is minimal, and we are just spending down the fund balance in this account. Fund balance appears to be 3.2 million year to date, but 2.4 is reserved for arbitrage, roughly 800K remaining to spend. Cap reserve, this account is fully funded by general fund transfer ins. There is no other revenue source that helps to grow capital reserve, so all of those revenue lines are 0. Oh,
So we
except
sell a
for
building.
245, I forget what that was, but something kind of silly and not something you would normally see in this account. So there is a tiny bit of revenue, but $245. What was that? Did you have something?
Oh, no, I said except for when we sell a building, and that confirms the
Correct.
capital fund.
Right. And I think I have that in those notes, yeah, on the bond redemption fund. $4,900 was to high school pond irrigation survey. Fund balance appears high, but 1 million of that is the TMF loan remainder. Without the loan balance, the fund balance in this account is $719,000. Once the TMF loan balance is spent down, higher transfer ins will be required again from the general fund. We obviously reduced that to $100,000 this year because we have remaining bond and TMF loan funds to spend to cover our capital expenses. The expenses this year are abnormally low compared to most years due to remaining bond funds being expensed first. And it will appear that we're operating at a loss quarterly and year to date until the transfer in is complete. Again, normally done at the end of the year to see if it's necessary in funds like this in food service and pre-K as well. Always in hopes that that transfer in isn't required. Pre-K is actually, currently it's looking like it's profitable. Granted, we quit getting funding in May and we still have to pay summer salaries, so I can't say it's going to stay that way, but because of enrollment incline, I think preschool enterprise is operating at much less of a loss than prior years, so the 100,000 transferring may not be required. Q2 and Q3 revenue higher than Q1 and Q4. Revenue is received September through May for this fund. Professional services are high on year-to-date due to most of the spending occurring in Q1 for the start of the year. It's annual purchases, licensing renewal, things like that. Revenue is exceeding expenses. However, revenue is not collected May through July, but salary and benefits are paid out during that time. And operating at a fund balance gain versus loss due to enrollment increases over prior year and the timing of the revenue expenses. And may not require the full transfer in amount to be determined.
Are there any questions?
Oh, my little other spreadsheet. Do you have that to pull up? It's the school finance flow chart.
Yep, give me 1 second.
And I'm not sure what happened to our flow chart creator program. So I hand drew these boxes and arrows and it looks pretty goofy, so please forgive my lack of skill set there, but I think I simplified the information enough to make sense of it to anyone who's new to school finance.
It's under the quarterly finance report.
Is it?
It's in the quarterly finance report. Or at least
This
it is on mine.
Down in the PDF.
There you go.
Oh, this one?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
If you give me 1 second to share it.
And when I drafted this on a piece of paper, I had so many additional things I wanted to add, but I tried to scale it back just so it's easier to digest. So there's probably more factors that are considered into each and every one of these lines, but this is kind of the overhaul of the bulk. So with school financing, there's total program funding, and it's set by CDE based on the School Finance Act. Factors that are included in this, just a few, but there are more. Base funding times pupil count, the at-risk, SPED, cost of living, and then the new school finance phase-in percentage. And school finance funding equals local share plus state share. Local share is decided by the property tax mill levy set based on residential and non-residential. And the total program mill is set at 12.45, also set by CDE, not us. And then our mill levy overrides are also factored into that. And then plus specific ownership tax, which is vehicle registration. Then we get our state share, which is the total program funding minus the local share. Those are our main sources of revenue, and those get deposited into the general fund. It collects the revenue to fund employee salary, benefits, extra duty pay, all that fun stuff, supplies and goods, services, a few various others, and then it does transfer outs. The transfer outs go to food service, capital reserve, and preschool. Food service is funded by state, federal, and general fund transfer in. Transfer in requires this as this program operates at a loss. Grants are mostly state and federal, and this fund always operates at $0 at the end of the year as the revenue received is expensed or carried into the next fiscal year. But the past few years, I think our carryover has been 0. Pretty much every grant I can think of. Bond fund is local property tax, mill levy, voter approved, as well as interest earned from the bank. It's received when a bond is passed by voters during an election. Capital reserve is our fund that is fully funded by general fund transfers or occasionally by the sale of a property. Preschool state is funded by UPK, CCAP, and tuition paid by individuals. Intended to be a self-sustaining program, but does require transfer from the general fund to maintain a positive fund balance. Revenue, money received, expenses, money spent, revenue minus expenses is your fund balance.
Do you want to share the update on CCAP we received this week?
I think there's still so many parts and pieces working on it, but I think until.
Clarification.
But.
So that's a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, lots of parts and pieces and news this week, I'd say.
It's coming.
All right. I am so grateful for community members that are willing to help us. So we've got a few individuals that have asked to help us by serving on our district accountability committee and then our long range planning committee. So I would look for a motion to.
I would move
it's
to
Jamila.
approve both the DAG and the long range committee members that have applied. And thank you with all of our gratitude.
I'll second that.
Pierce,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Lynch, McHugh,
Yes.
North.
Yes. All right, the next piece is DW, Development Group, has a contract on Old Carlson, the OC. And they have asked for an extension
Let's let
on their contract, so.
So, based off of the feedback they received from the state regarding their funding for tax credits and also trying to address the EPA request to mitigate the property as it's on a Superfund site. They've asked for time to put together a plan to address the mitigation and also put a plan together so they can receive the tax credit from the state to sell for funding the project. And so they've asked for a 6-month extension, which would last until around August. And so,
No, right now it's August.
sorry, it's August, so it lasts, sorry, you're right, so it lasts until February of next year, you're right. So, right, so, they're asking for that request and
So, yeah.
So the other part of that is that when we were talking with them, they had mentioned that the part of their grant request is that they have to come in and do their site plan and get all of their approvals before they get that grant.
Right.
And so they've agreed, and this is what cinched it up for me as far as where I'm at with it, that they're willing to make those expenditures before they even get the grant. So I
Before
still.
they have the property themselves.
Right,
Right?
exactly, right, before they even have all teeth in, so, The fact that they're willing to expend that capital to even get to the point of applying for the grant legitimately. 6 months, you know, in the grand scheme of things, isn't huge in the real estate world. But it would be my recommendation that we do extend it.
Do we have access to the original contract?
It should be in the drive, the real estate contract itself. I wouldn't know where to find it.
And I am sorry, I saw your text as the meeting was getting ready to start, so that wasn't very helpful.
And there was at one point, I think within that process, Sydney, we had a timeline of how things had to roll out.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was,
Right.
to like help protect us.
And this is the only bump, the 6 months, this is the only bump they're asking for, and that's just so that they can get the tax credit. They were initially gonna go for the medium income tax credits, but because that particular pot is spent in our area because of the 4 points, I keep saying, I wanna say corners, but 4 points project, they had to steer towards the low income part. And so even then, they're only getting 4% as opposed to the 9% they were originally applying for. And so there's gonna be a little more on their end.
Should we be asking for like any dates or deadlines?
There are dates
They're on
and
there.
deadlines.
And they're on the original contract?
Yes, yes. Yeah, there's a whole schedule of dates and deadlines and requirements for them in that real estate contract. Additionally, they have to, it's not that they have to mediate or mitigate the EPA conditions of the ground there. They don't know if they have to mitigate anything yet. And part of the EPA conditions is also the interior. You know, is there asbestos, is there lead paint, that sort of thing. And they're going to be tearing down the building from what I understand. So it's a lot about, you know, what's the cost of encapsulating that if they do find it for removal and that sort of thing. But as, you know, 4 points, when they did the remediation of their property, because, you know, our county is an EPA Superfund site, and they had to do 4 tests to find out that, you know, their ground was contaminated, and they had to bring in more dirt to make that project happen. So basically, their investigation is going to be looking at what conditions they have at that site, especially considering they're going to be tearing it down. Now, we have required that they let us know once they know their EPA environmental status, which will happen before that 6 month.
That's kind of what I'm wondering.
Yeah, that will happen. I think they're gonna get started on that pretty soon because, you know, if they find out something very glaring there, then they'll back out. Yeah, they may not go with the site plan and with the city and that sort of thing.
But we'll know what the condition of the soil is if we look for another person to purchase the property, organization, then they'll know that information already.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So, you know, we felt comfortable having the conversation with them, but at the same time, you know, I think it's a board decision to vote at this junction.
So we also met with JLL, who's the broker. So they deal with these situations much more often than we certainly do. You've got more experience in real estate. But they're doing all the sales of all the Jeffco schools that have been closed. And they said a 2-year contract period is not uncommon. But yeah, I don't know that we're prepared to go beyond 6 months. We'd like to see some forward progress.
Yeah, it would just be nice to know like what kind of protections exist so that if we need to back out, we can also do that.
So what I can do is spend some time with you to go over the real estate contract and show you all of the ways that we can.
Okay.
Yeah,
Am
I'd
I
be happy to.
So that's in like a shared drive or something?
Yeah, all of our contracts and stuff are in the Google Drive, but I noticed today that our archived, like,
I don't know that I have access to this stuff, to some of these things.
See, your name was listed and did the email, did it not work when you tried to open it?
did you find the contract?
Yeah, because I went looking for DW and it was Old Carlson Purchase Agreement. So,
Yeah, that's what I know how to use Google Docs. Okay. I see it now.
It seems to me that it makes sense to move forward with the 6-month extension, just because we're so far in at this point, we may as well try to work with them and then if they uncover something or in 6 months they need another extension, then we revisit and maybe we have a tougher stance on it.
I agree.
The EPA study's gonna need to be done now or with a different buyer.
But they're all gonna have to
So
deal with the fact that
we're
we're
already this
increasing.
far in. I think
Well,
progressive makes sense.
right, and the other thing about this is when they do their environmental report and they do the board tests and all of these things, we're gonna end up with a copy of it. And we're gonna end up with that, even if they don't purchase the property, we'll be able to give it to the next buyer and say, here's your shit show, or it's not so bad.
Then we have more information
Right.
moving forward.
Exactly.
So I need a full motion in a second.
I'd make a motion to extend the contract for 6 months with BW.
I will second.
Pierce?
Let me just make sure that there isn't any other questions or discussion. Sorry.
No.
Any other caveats you're concerned with, or?
No, I just want to make sure that we feel protected as well. But if 2 years seems like a normal time,
We are holding earnest money as well.
okay.
Of 40,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was one of my first questions.
Yes. Now,
Pierce?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
McHugh?
Yes.
yes. Right, while we were in Colorado Springs, we were discussing how we wanted to serve the community better. And one of those ways is that we've kind of broken up the board as leads for different segments of community discussion, so that you have a person that you can reach out to. If you have a question about mental health, you would go to Sydney. If you've got a question about facilities, you could go to Carrie Ann. But I did want to just bring everyone's attention to, I tried to clean that list up just a little bit. So if you want to open that in the board docs.
Does Sydney King like half Sydney, half Marcy?
Yeah, I tried to. It's the resilience folks, I'm like,
Yeah, so where did that folder go? Because I opened other things.
Oh, we can just go down the list. This is what we discussed.
Yeah, well, I edited it from that, so I wanted you to look at the new one online. You can share that.
What's different?
I
What's
just
in our
consolidated it. Well, and it's maybe in the printed packet. I don't know if it was there. So let me read it. Business meeting. And then it's just board leads, so it's a Google Doc. So like, the legislative advocacy, I think, was still the first one, and that's me. But I combined facilities capital improvement bond.
Yeah, we
That's
had
all
done
you.
that. We did that, yeah.
Yeah. Then behavioral health and wellness, that kind of covers Mountain Youth Network, Resilience 1220, and GROC. So rather than listing all of those things separately, I put them all together with Sydney. But I had a question as to how that compared with our community partners, because we didn't have community partners listed out, which is Sydney and Marcy.
Yeah, and I don't know, would that be like Chamber of Commerce? I don't remember exactly what that was.
And I'm not sure, because I'm not sure, does Georgetown have a Chamber of Commerce? Is the Idaho Springs
It's a
changed to
promotions
their
commission.
board of promotions?
Or, yeah.
And say, I attend that from my business hat, so I was like, is that, I don't know that it even needs to be listed, but I bring, much like, before the holidays, we were talking about tree lighting. So Carrie Ann lifted up the Georgetown things and I lifted up some of the Idaho Springs things, so I just wasn't sure if that was.
I don't know what other community partners there would be that aren't listed. really.
Okay, so I was like, are you okay with your name coming off since Sydney's all those other
Yes.
pieces? Georgetown Community School, the board, and just charter schools in general is Carrie Ann and Marcy. So it seemed kind of, again, duplicative to have them in two separate spaces, so I just combined them. Safety and emergency planning is Carrie Ann. Early childhood and learning and childcare is me. So again, those are kind of the leads. Like if you have questions about a topic, you could come to one of us. But then there are the parts where we go out to committee meetings or organizations. So Nicole and I are on the Blue Sky BOCES board. Then there's the mayors and Board of County Commissioners. They have a meeting, but then the Board of County Commissioners have a meeting, and they were both me. So it just
But we
puts them all
also talked
together.
about making sure that I know about the mayors and commissioners that are for the scholarships.
Yes,
I
yes.
see that down.
Okay. That's an event. The other is a monthly
Right,
meeting.
right, right.
So if you want to come to breakfast at 7 a.m., you can join me.
I
Yeah.
help that one.
No, the dinner is amazing. We highlight some
That one
amazing
brings
students.
joy.
Yes. The Henderson Freeport McMoran Community Partnership is Marcy and Nicole. Clear Creek County Emergency Management, Carrie Ann. The DAC, the District Accountability Committee Board Lead is Marcy and Nicole. Long Range Planning Committee is Carrie Ann. Enrollment Task Force Committee, Marcy is the lead. Because I hadn't even talked about me being there because I've attended meetings, but I also want an opportunity for other board members to be able to drop in. So if we just share like, hey, I'd really like to attend this meeting so that we don't create a quorum situation. But these are publicly listed meetings. So if you do find yourself with two other board members, just don't talk about board stuff. That covers us. And then for the Student Advisory Committee Board Member Point of Contact, Marcy. I don't know if we can shorten that. So yeah, maybe we just call that the Student Advisory Committee, and then we can remove the board member contact and just have it be Marcy, because I think that it goes without saying. Yeah. Any thoughts, changes? Did I miss anything?
Oh, we'll know it when it comes up.
And you'll let me know, I
I'll
hope.
let you know.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
It looks good to me. It's good.
Yeah, just try to organize it. It's
I
a
mean, I
little
think
bit
we wrote it
illogical.
on a napkin or something. But really,
Really?
It was a working,
Picture of it.
it was a working dinner. All right. Then, I don't know that we need to vote on it. It was just so that the community knows this will be on our website. It will also be in the newsletter, so to make it more easily and readily accessible. Moving on to policy work. Policy JH, student absences and excuses. I know that there was a lot of information, so we may not be prepared to approve on first read tonight, and that's okay if we'd like to spend some more time, but it was really great to have some student feedback on this. The overwhelming message, and you know, certainly correct me or add, but the students were really just adamant about how important it is to be in class, that if you miss because of sport, that the makeup is so difficult. So they even honored our educators' time and said, you know, because they taught it and so many of them were kind and helped me to catch up, but it just adds more work for teachers. So I thought that was really honoring, and I wanted to lift that up, so.
That's what I took away from it, was it's disruptive, it's hard to catch up, it's stressful. Just overall, the consensus was seat time, is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
Is really important. for the teachers and students.
Right?
Mhm.
Exactly. I mean, because I can imagine it's hard on the teacher to keep up with the student.
Well, like it was
Yeah.
stated, then they're doing their job twice because they taught it once and then they have to teach it again. So,
Was there any discussion with the students of the realization that if a student is not going to school, that there must be a reason?
I think that was actually an issue that Sydney had with some of the green lines, sorry. Was what about those special situations and how do we ensure that we give that flexibility to the teachers or administrators who recognize that the issue is not on the student, but on the whole life or some other situation that maybe we learn of? How do we, I think that's what you're speaking to.
That's exactly what I'm speaking to. I don't think that kids don't go to school just because, or I think there are some, excuse me.
it seems like the language is loose enough that it gives the building leader or the teacher a little bit of leeway because it says may or,
Right.
you know, it has those.
And I want that,
words.
I want that flexibility
Yeah.
for the teacher to be able to work with the student, the family, or the conditions that are bringing them to the point that they're not going to school.
It's a tribute to our staff and our leaders' work and the fact that we do get students to graduate who are facing those issues. So it shows that there's efforts already made for the students who are facing different challenges. And I think as Marcy pointed out, there is some flexibility in this. I mean, this is really pulling from state statute, so it has that kind of strictness to it, but I think there is some flexibility that our school leaders and our staff follow to support those students. But I will tell you that it's interesting, the students were saying they shared their personal experience, and I thought that was very good for us to listen to that and hear what their perspective was, because, you know, one student says, I was on the extreme of not attending school regularly for a lot of reasons that were outside of her control, and how she's pulled back together and overcome those obstacles, and she's doing well now, and she shared that. And then, yeah, we had situations where students said personal stories like, you know, being absent and having 2 days to get that work done, plus the work I have to do already, it can really be a challenge for them. So they understand the importance of being in school every day.
You would have been very happy with the students and the makeup of that.
Oh, I'm sure I would be so impressed. I always am. And yeah, I'm good with it as long as we do have that flexibility and it is written in here that it's not locked down, you're absent, or whatever happens, which is such a silly process.
Right.
That's the advantage of our small school, is that we
Right.
can have that flexibility and have those conversations.
Yeah, I feel like we know our students better than
Yeah.
bigger.
So let's keep letting our teachers and staff have that flexibility to evaluate and work with the students.
Do you feel that the green lines show that, or would you like to see
Yeah, I-
something added?
I don't know if you guys saw, but Lori, I think, sent out, I kind of rewrote the whole thing. Just, because when I was reading the original, I felt like some of the language wasn't consistent, like there was either building admin versus principal. And then redundancy in some of the languages, like, especially present in the excused absence portion, it kept saying over and over, like, with appropriate documentation. And it said that under some of them, but not all of them. And it seems like as long as appropriate documentation is present as requested by the building admin, it should be considered an excused absence. So I tried to just make sure that that was all kind of cleaned up so it wasn't redundant. I tried to address some of the words that can be open for interpretation, like temporary. And I got rid of the good attendance habits for credit because I know that it's important for kids to go to school, but I don't think that we're giving credit based on attendance habits. And it's also not defined what good attendance habits are in the original one. And then I also got rid of the parents part for scheduled appointments. HIPAA law does not give parents an automatic right to their children's health care, so kids can make appointments for certain things on their own without their parents' involvement. And I don't think that we should limit that because a parent didn't make an appointment. Yeah, I don't know what else. we wrote a lot of it to be really consistent, address redundancies, and then, Carrie, and your concern about like kids not being able to go to school for whatever reasons, I feel like under excused absences, it essentially says it's up to the building administrator. So hopefully that would be considered a protection.
Do you have any suggestion that makes sure that the heart of that is conveyed?
What I think would, based on where we are right now, I think it would be nice to sit down with Sydney and maybe another board member and go through this and then kind of get a sense of what we're trying to convey to our community as far as the importance of attendance, but also the fact that we want to be cognizant of the needs of our students. And so that we are supporting that work. And then we come back to the board with a more finalized version that we all can like say if we understand what this means.
Sounds like you just
doing
scheduled a
that with
meeting.
you.
I have scheduled a meeting.
I'm probably the most truant person on this board.
Which is different from chronic absenteeism.
I appreciate that, so, can we move this forward to February, and I know you've got lots of free time,
It's all good.
but, yeah, Lori, if you could help them schedule.
She says that a board member would like to meet with Sydney and I. for-
It sounds like Carrie Ann would like to
Carrie,
be
Perfect.
your
Yep, let's do it.
the third, so.
Okay.
All right, CASB provided some very simple updates, not simple. So we are taking instructional materials, that selection process, and separating it from library resources. So we are taking library resources out of one and creating its own. So you'll see policy IJ, IJL, and then how we then allow the public, families to share concerns about instructional materials. So it gets pulled out on its own, but concerns about library resources is in IJL. So they're all pretty interconnected, but separate. Did you have any questions or concerns about the red lines on those or the creation of?
Are there any changes from our study session?
I don't think we had any.
Any comments, public comments since our study session?
On KEC, at the very bottom, it says the board has discretion in whether or not to take the appeal. I feel like as a board, we should hear the appeals and hear where the public's coming from and make that public. So I would say we should take the appeal, but that would be my only kind of comment on that. If it's made it that far along in the process, it seems like it would be.
So not may, just.
Yeah.
Or the board will hear the appeal and then.
Hear it or make it public, or I just don't, it feels like you're kind of, like, yeah, we're just gonna ignore that.
Yeah.
You could just say the board shall take the appeal.
Works for me.
That's it. With that one change, do I have a motion to accept on first read? Well, do we need to do them all together, or can we?
I was just gonna do them all together.
I think that they logically fit together. So with that one change to KEC, I would look for a motion to approve IJ, IJL, and KEC.
Oh, so moved. Thank you for lining up.
You're welcome. I need a second.
I'll second that.
All right, Beers,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
North.
Yes. Okay, policy IKF has one very small change because the legislature changed the requirement for SAT scores.
State
So-
board.
Hmm?
I believe this is state board. Was it state board?
Maybe it was the state board. You're right.
Somebody changed it.
So we do recognize that there may be some other potential changes, and we presented it to the students to ask them if they see any questions that rise to the top for them. But we also asked that of the community, because there's some opportunity in this policy. But for today, we're changing that one thing. So I just need a motion to approve this one red line.
And that's not to say that we can't change things, it's just that when we
Oh.
do, it affects graduation and all
Correct.
kinds of fun
Yes.
things. So we have to be careful about that.
Yeah, and the 480 is based on the fact that they changed the format the test is given. So with the change administration, they gave change to the cut score for math.
Correct. Okay, I would move to approve.
I second that.
Pierce,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Lynch, McCune.
Yes.
Yes. All right, we move on to the consent agenda. This includes minutes from October 23rd, business meeting, November 11th, study session with the county commissioners, November 11th, study session, the November 20th business meeting, December 9th, special meeting with executive session, the December 9th special meeting for mill levy certification, and December 9th study session. We also have a staffing update for December and a staffing update for January. So,
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Pierce,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Lynch, McCune.
Yes.
yes,
And I'll just make the comment, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your hard work on the minutes. You do such an amazing job.
Yeah, that's
And ladies, for the new ladies.
how exciting it was that it wasn't on the audit this year, that it
Well,
was.
how
something we could
exciting it
improve.
is that I didn't have to write the minutes. I joined the board, I'm like, oh, these minutes, well, that's how I don't have to write them. So thank you for coming along and fixing that situation. I would move to adjourn. if-
Or
No,
the
no.
future agenda items.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we had that one, we gave you a piece of paper.
Yes, CDLs, I'm passing it to you.
I have one other one. Do we want to talk about the logo change suggested by?
Oh, the tagline,
Our taglines, yeah.
okay.
I think it's time.
That's an easy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have something. But I said that last time.
You did.
Yeah.
You can email us.
Yeah, I might. Who's doing the agenda?
Yeah, who's on the agenda, planning with me next month? Nicole? Yay,
Yay.
welcome aboard. All right,
Do you have the, list of what months we were put in for?
yes,
I think Lori has
Yeah.
that laid out.
if you don't mind sharing that out. Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just in case, if you need to do a swap, that's easy, just email whoever's in the month that's easiest for you, and myself and Lori, and it's like magic. She goes into Google and she chooses a name, and so, yeah. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate having a team member. It helps build capacity and understanding of how this process works, because, yeah. So, seeing no other agenda items, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Pierce,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Lynch, yes, McCune.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Thank you all. You get a prize for staying and coming late.
What's the prize?
The prize is they got to spend more time with us. Say we have a